What's going on, everyone? We are three again of the four unqualified film bros with a podcast that has not been named yet. We're working on it. Honestly, that might end up being the name. I'm going to try to get the pointing right this time. Ben's over there.
Yep.
And Declan's down there.
Mm.
So we'll figure it out. We got a lot to talk about this week, so we're going to dive right in. We all saw the movie this time. Declan made it to the movies.
Good job, Declan.
We're talking Last Duel, Ridley Scott's new historical drama.
Wow, what a shock that I made it to the movies for that,
Yeah. Initial thoughts? What do you guys think?
Now, this is Ridley Scott's second movie about French people who are dueling all the time. So it was a pretty good movie. It was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was definitely a lot. I fucking loved it. I mean, like, it very much plays into like things I like. I mean, like, being set in the Middle Ages and having such beautiful like set design is always gonna make me at least somewhat interested in the film. But I genuinely feel like it knocked it out of the park, as a film. I loved the whole thing, which is interesting because there are parts that I don't like, but then they become parts that I do like in retrospect. And I mean, there's also horrifying parts, intentionally so.
Sure.
So, but it comes together perfectly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I liked it. For those who haven't read my Letterboxd review, gave it 4.5 out of 5. I know Declan gave it a full 5. He texted me right after he saw it, saying, "Wow, this might be 5 stars." I was like, all right, I guess I got to see this movie for the pod this week. But yeah, performances. I think you got to start with Jodie Comer. She just delivered. She hasn't had that many roles. Her biggest credits right now are Free Guy and a one scene moment in The Rise of Skywalker. So
wait, was she in The Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, she was Rey's mother.
No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What?
Role. Yeah, she's much better in this one.
Agreed. Well, she had a better script to work with.
No, she was very good. I think a lot of credit has to go towards like the director though, because I thought the storytelling was very interesting. I mean, I don't know how you guys felt about like the three different according to who. I mean,
that was it was a very modern way of of telling the story. Was literally saying he says, she says.
Yeah.
In the literal sense of it, here's what the stories are, here are the chapters, but also, you get to the trial and here's what he says, here's what he says, here's what she says. So
I won't lie, I did kind of like, a part of me was like, oh shit, this is going to be epic, when it got to chapter 3 and it said like the truth according to the Lady Margaret, and then it just faded and just had the words the truth, and I was like, oh shit, like that was like I enjoyed that it was like it was sort of going there kind of in terms of when approaching the premise. I think one thing I enjoy about it, about how they handled it, is it's very easy to like overplay the differences between perspectives, kind of.
Was so subtle in a lot of ways. Like, I mean, I just started my second module of grad school, going into my screenwriting course, and we were talking about obviously script writing in the first class Monday night, and then I saw the movie Tuesday, and I picked up on a lot of the nuances of the way the lines were delivered, and such a strong script to begin with. But then you get moments like in the first chapter, which is told from Jean de Carouge, from his perspective. You get the Lady Marguerite saying, "I was raped," and then in chapter 3, where she is telling, it's the exact same scene, the exact same moment when she's telling Jean, her husband, about the incident. Of course, that's a terrible way of phrasing it. About the assault. She says, "He raped me," and just that subtle change completely alters the meaning of her words. You get this, I was the victim, but then no, he was the attacker. So that really stood out to me. Obviously, when Jacques Legris and Jean de Carouge were saying, let there be no squabbles under the same king. Obviously, from each of their perspectives, they were the one who said it. So there were more blatant moments like that, but I think the script was really strong. And the differences in each of the chapters, you got different elements of the story, different elements of the plot, depending on who was experiencing what. But overall, the script was exceptionally strong and well performed. I mean, Jodie Comer was great. Yeah. Adam Driver, amazing. The guy's got serious range. I say this every time I bring him up. He's got serious range. He's going to play Dr. Doom. But
this is an Adam Driver sim podcast. That's what we do here.
You're not wrong. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, they've had better performances in less shitty wigs, but I enjoyed what we got from them this time. Ben Affleck brought a lot of humor to his character, which I think was an interesting choice, but I liked it.
I knew Ben Affleck was in the movie, but it took me a solid 5 minutes after watching Count Pierre. I was like, oh, that is Ben Affleck. Because it's so weird to see him with blonde hair and a blonde goatee. It's not like he's acting super differently, but
you were Batman once.
He brought he brought bits of levity into the film, which I think was good for it, given how dark the subject matter was and how much it gets. But one thing I have to give two bits of credit for. There's two moments that I gotta talk about. It's first is during Jacques Legris' telling kind of his perspective.
Chapter 2, for those of you taking notes at home.
Chapter 2. So one thing I love, and it shows how well constructed the script was, is that in his telling of his encounter, as in his rape of the Lady Marguerite,
incident and encounter. We are not good at describing this.
I'm almost it's
technically an encounter can be hostile. So
true. But anyway, I really like how they took the effort to have Jacques describe himself, make himself into a chivalric hero, how chivalry sort of works, in the idea of forlorn love that can't be come together. I mean, of course it does, but it's he is making himself to be into what oftentimes medieval poetry and medieval pop culture has, but Lancelot and King Arthur's wife, Lady Guinevere, that's sort of it's a classic thing, and it's using it for very effective yet also very dark means, and again it shows how well it's constructed, thinking about what was common pop culture in the Middle Ages at the time. That was that. I feel like that was a great attention to detail. But the other one, I gotta say, at the very end, and this one is more akin to how modern the movie is. I feel I think I've said it in the past, and I'm quoting someone here, though the original author's escaping me right now, but something to the effect of the best historical fiction are oftentimes about today. And I found the final moment before Jean de Carouge defeated Jacques Legris, the
Spoiler.
moment where he has him pinned down and he says Jean, it wasn't rape. I swear on penalty of damnation, it wasn't rape, and all that. And it's there was this like moment where I realized like, oh my gosh, he's like appealing to him on a like a weird like, he's like in a horribly like toxic manner. He's appealing to him on a personal level, and there's a real moment there where you almost think like, I mean, obviously not knowing how it ends, like, oh my gosh, is he going to stop the duel and say, I can't kill this man or something like that? Obviously that doesn't make any sense, but in the moment I feel like it's a brilliant sort of like last moment of tension before he awesomely goes like, then be damned or whatever he says, then freaking stabs him with the spear through the,
well, he knees him in the back of the head, and that forces the blade, into his mouth.
Right. I looked up the actual historical story because I was curious what the accounts were, and largely that's what he is accounted as saying, is that he said it wasn't rape. Like, that's the proper historical account. It kind of is an interesting thing because that's all he can say, right? If he says, please don't kill me, all right, sorry, I raped you, or I raped your wife, he dies, he gets executed even if he doesn't kill him. And if John doesn't kill him and say, well, I can't kill this man because he didn't do it, well, then he dies and his wife gets thrown in fire. So it's a weird thing where that is his, like, at that stage, that's his only play.
Yeah.
So a lose-lose situation.
And also, I think a large like character point for him is he's very egotistical. Like you said, he's using like pop culture and stuff. But I also think like a large part of that, like, oh, I love you, and he doesn't love you like I love you. Well, this woman is like, in both accounts, running away from him. It's very like egotistical. It's like, I know you loved it. He's so self-absorbed.
Yeah.
And he cares so much about his reputation that he would rather risk his life than actually, like, because this is in both the historical account and the movie. He could have claimed the church and had no chance for death, but he couldn't clear his name that way. It wouldn't be as rewarding to his reputation, to defend his reputation like that. And so I think part of that, like, him refusing to confess at the end is like, he would rather die than like lose his reputation. And he's that self-absorbed. And similar to like Matt Damon's character, they're both egotistical and self-absorbed, where like, this rape is nothing more than a reason to just kill his this guy who he views as having assaulted him multiple times, taking his land or whatever.
Doesn't call him sir in one scene.
And it shows in both their accounts that they changed the story to like, oh yeah, I saved his life. I was the one who charged in or saved him. They always make themselves out to be the better man. And it just shows like how self-absorbed they are versus like, it's very different to Marguerite, where she says, at the end, if she knew she was going to die, she wouldn't even have done anything because she viewed like a baby and her, raising that baby as more important than like some. It's pretty much like a toxic masculinity match.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think as a filmmaking technique, did you guys know I'm a film student?
You're a film student?
Looking at it from a filmmaking perspective, starting with a few minutes of the environment of the duel, and then saying chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Obviously the film is called The Last Duel. Where it's going. But in terms of strict filmmaking, you could have started the film with the trial. Just like an opening shot, you're in the castle or wherever it took place, the estate, and you see, Jacques Legree on trial. Obviously, you've got Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Jodie Comer in the room as well, the king, and you could have been like, all right, what's your story? And then gone into chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, with narration, which obviously would have been a huge storytelling crutch. But to begin with the duel, saying, all right, we're going here, let's set the scene, and then here's how it all happened, and then to include the trial as sort of a bridge between the 3 chapters and the last duel was really, it was strong storytelling, it was strong filmmaking, and just exceptional, layout choice by Ridley Scott.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all have to thank for this story a little bit of Jack Legree, because the reason that there's so much information about all this stuff, because he hired like one of the best lawyers from Paris or something, and this guy wrote down everything. And so a lot of the story comes from his accounts. Even to the point where his lawyer is coming into question where he's like, yeah, I don't think this guy is really innocent.
Wait, that is fascinating. I didn't know about that aspect.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of the actual story is very, very interesting. Like the king delayed the duel by 1 month because he was worried the roads were going to be
wanted to travel to get there because he was out of town. Forgive me for the air quotes. He delayed it from late November to late December, right? It took place December 29th of 1386, I think it was.
Yeah, 89 for some reason. I want to say that, though I don't think that's
86.
right.
86, okay. He delayed it a month because he was out of town. He was like, no, you're not going to do this without me. I want to see.
And he had just lost his so they had both given birth, I guess. King Charles's wife had given birth as well, but her birth not good. Her baby died very fast. And instead of like mourning, the king went out and was like celebrating, and it was like that the ultimate celebration was going to be this duel.
Happy not a Father's Day.
And they kind of show like he's so immature and like a kind of terrible person, it seems like, where he's got the like smirks is like, well, if either of you leave, you will be hanged.
Crazy, right?
Wow, it's almost
best day of being king.
It's almost like duels to the death and feudalism have flaws or something. Like a controversial statement, I know, but like maybe, just maybe.
And here we are, 650 years later. Haven't been any more legal duels in France. Maybe they'll make a movie about an illegal one that happened.
Not true. No. There has been one in the 1500s. That was the last. This duel is it's the last duel that was
I guess the second to last duel wouldn't make as good a title.
Yeah, but this is the last like judicial duel, like deciding a fate.
Gotcha.
There were many duels after that. Like
it was a legal like binding.
Yeah,
binding like
this is a way to settle this. Okay.
Yeah, like a proper legal way to settle it. But other people could challenge.
Look at me learning things.
And in fact, Ridley Scott's like first movie was The Duelist, where there's 2 generals in Napoleon's army. Or they're not generals at the time. They're like throughout the movie they rise in class. And actually their last duel, they have to be the same rank. I don't think they did this in the last duel, the movie. Apparently to make them equal standing, because you had to be like equal standing to fight each other or something. They knighted Legree, but they didn't do that in the movie, I don't think.
No, they didn't. He was still a squire.
He was still called squire.
Yeah. He was knighted in the actual story because I think they had to be the same standing to duel. But yeah, the duelist is like the 1800s. These guys are dueling it out.
You get a movie review and a history lesson in the same podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last duel I think was high on all of our. A couple episodes ago, we talked about our highest anticipated movies remaining for the year. Back when Max was with us, he'll be back next week. But yeah, it was high on all of our highest anticipated film lists.
Yeah.
It lived up to my expectations. Like final thoughts, it lived up to my expectations.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I only had heard about it in a very short amount of time, but I'm so glad that in that short amount of time I was able to like become really excited and then actually go see it and love it. Absolutely love it. That was something great.
Yeah.
No, it was quite epic.
And speaking of films we're looking forward to, a lot came out in the world of superhero movies over the last week.
Yeah.
Highest anticipated movies for the rest of the year, obviously Eternals and No Way Home. I want to look a little bit past that. A couple of trailers came out. I want to talk about The Flash, the first look that Ezra Miller gave us. That obviously the studio gave us, but he was, the one to front it. And the nearly 3-minute long trailer for Matt Reeves' The Batman. So first, let's talk about The Flash because it was a shorter clip. What'd you guys think?
I think I just have to put in, you're missing one that is the highest on my list. Black Adam.
Of course, Black Adam, Dwayne Johnson, the Rock, the star.
I'm pretty pumped.
I'm hyped for that one.
The Flash is the Flash. I'm interested to see what they do, but for me, I'm kind of bored of the character. They've done it so much that I'm sure they'll do a good job.
Yeah,
but I feel like Black Adam is out there. He doesn't get a lot, and normally he's like a villain.
I mean, he's like not even ambiguously. He's just a villain.
Yeah, he's just a straight up villain. So
I feel like what DC is doing with the Flash is and it pains me to say this, but I feel like what they're doing with the Flash is very similar to what Marvel has done with Spider-Man. And that's, he's getting his own movie. Spider-Man had Tony Stark in his movie. He had Nick Fury in his movie. No Way Home, he's going to have Doctor Strange in his movie. The Flash, he gets Affleck and Michael Keaton. So like they're not giving Ezra Miller a chance to, I know the Flash, you said, Ben, the Flash has been played out. We've seen him on screen by so many different actors, so many different incarnations of the character. But now he's going to have 2 Batmen with him.
And to be fair, like the best story that
is it
Flash
his
has
story
ever done is Flashpoint. So if they can do something because there's a lot of interesting things you can do with the Flash. It's just it really muddles the whole like multiverse, but like I honestly think those are the best Flash stories themselves. Flashpoint is by far his best, because it really shows like what the power that he has, and also like what happens when he changes things, the whole effects. And then there's the Batman. So
what a trailer.
Like 15th Batman movie. So hopefully it looks different. It looks gritty. Looks like a young Batman, which is cool.
With each of these films, the DC extended universe has become so hit or miss. With Marvel, you can expect, it's had its exceptions with The Incredible Hulk and Thor the Dark World, Iron Man 2, but those were early on. Now you're expecting a high. What was that?
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck, exactly.
The first Marvel movie.
It's a very high floor franchise. And then you get the DC extended universe, and several of the films are just not up to snuff. That's why, Suicide Squad, they had to reboot it. Justice League, fans bullied Zack Snyder into releasing his cut on HBO Max.
They really did.
So it's very hit or miss, and I think bringing back Michael Keaton is going to be helpful for ticket sales for The Flash. I don't know what it's going to do to the story. The Batman, I think people are, bless you.
Thank you.
I think people are excited to see Robert Pattinson's take on the character. As you said, Ben, it's going to be a younger version. But then it's a Batman movie. So are we going to get Keaton-esque? Are we going to get Bale-esque? Are we going to get Affleck? Or is it going to be Val Kilmer or George Clooney? There have been so many different incarnations of Batman that it's going to be hard to see initially where Robert Pattinson's fits in terms of the Batman hierarchy. And I think this trailer, as gritty and as film noir as it is, I have high hopes, but I don't know if I necessarily expect the film to meet all of my expectations, because I want this film to be really good.
Yeah.
That is like one of the things that I'm really intrigued about, though, is that they said that it was going to be like a noir for like the first hour, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't touch on in the Batman.
I'm the
movies.
world's greatest detective.
Yeah, he is the world's greatest detective, and actually he learns to be a detective like when he's younger. And like he's really aggressive and really not a good detective, but like seeing how he can
Take it easy, sweetheart.
Because at the end he really should be the world's greatest detective, and I feel like there's not a lot of movies that really show him doing that. You know, even like in the Justice League, I think one of the cuts he had like plans for everyone if they went haywire for like with Superman, but
that's sort of a classic story.
Exactly, you know, but nobody does that stuff anymore. It's like Batman should be that smart, and I feel like a lot of times he's played as sort of just like this aggressive, dumb guy. So
well, I mean, we saw that in the Nolan trilogy.
Yeah, he has some like detective work, but for a large part, he's really not great at it.
He leaves a lot of the detective work to Lucius Fox and to Jim Gordon and Alfred.
Doing his work for him.
Nolan is almost a weird sort of like case, kind of in the sense of like he was almost half just making his own movie as much as he was adapting Batman, kind of.
Considering Gotham City was just Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. Well, especially in The Dark Knight. And in Batman Begins, they try to do something with the monorail. Then it's just like it's fucking Chicago after Dark Knight onwards. You know, it's like, but like I will say that like I like one thing I do got to give credit for in watching the trailer, kind of, you know, and this is the most not actually substantial thing. I do feel like Batman himself looks very good, kind of like actually like making Batman look like really good has always been sort of a struggle, kind of. Keaton notoriously, if you like, and it's true if you look at him, has like he can barely move his neck in his mask, and like Batman Returns just has him canonically rip off each cowl or something like that. It's a little bit absurd sort of, but it's been something that that all Batman movies have struggled with just a little bit. But I will say that Pattinson I feel like does seem to, at least again, purely based on his looks as Batman, kind of thread the needle between looking realistic and also looking like Batman from the comic books. You know, I think that's something that I gotta give credit for. Like that's like that's obvious. That's something that many different filmmakers have struggled with. But I feel like, at least from the short clips we've seen, he looks pretty good in the cowl.
Yeah, and I'm sure I have faith that he will do a great job acting. I'm a big fan of his acting. I don't know if you guys have seen the Lighthouse movies.
I haven't seen Lighthouse. I saw him in Good Time. Good Time's great.
Yeah.
Obviously his role in Tenet was
that was good.
Yeah. It wasn't as strong as some of his co-stars, but it was still a good performance. I liked his role in that movie.
I can't take any of the acting in that movie serious because the story is so
bonkers,
ridiculous. Yeah, that nothing has an effect on me because I don't know what the hell was going on.
Once you rewatch it opens up layers, is what I'll say.
I did rewatch it, and you know what? I found more continuity errors.
Time for a deep dive, a full hour-long episode deep dive on Tenet coming up in a week that we have nothing to do.
Where we all really show how unqualified we are by like trying to figure it out. Well, meanwhile, there are people who have like figured it all out, being like, "You fucking idiots!" No, it's like this.
This is exactly what the movie is about.
It's like if you guys have seen Primer, there's people who have torn that movie and tried to figure that one out. It's notoriously confusing.
Oh, is that the time travel film? That's
time
like,
one.
Just gotta pick it apart.
Yeah.
But it's like insanely complicated and impossible to understand.
Ridiculously complicated and convoluted. But
travel movies should just be like Avengers Endgame. That's not how time travel works. Okay, so how does it work? Here's how it works. Then they do it.
Primer's more of a like a thought experiment, I guess.
Mm.
The whole point is the time traveling. So
Mhm.
if you make it less confusing, there's no movie.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So we got three looks at upcoming DCEU movies or DC movies. I don't know if they'll technically fall under the extended universe. You know,
I think
are you gonna have three different
Flash and
Batmen
Black
in the
Adam will.
DCEU?
That's a valid question.
The Flash and Black Adam will, and I'm pretty sure the Batman is going to be its own thing for now.
Yeah. Has there been like rumors that it's going to connect to Joaquin Phoenix's Joker at all, or is that?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I saw those rumors. I'm like,
I don't love that idea.
I fundamentally dislike the premise of the Joker movie, which is that the Joker should not have a backstory. The scariest thing is him not having a back. He even has a line where it's like, if I have a backstory, I prefer it to be multiple choice. It's like, that is the way the Joker should be.
The Joker movie,
or at least the Riddler,
is its own thing, kind of. Like it's like I almost can't even consider it like truly representative of the Joker. I mean, it is I don't know. It's like
if that is the like story you're going for, it's that disconnected from the original Joker, then I don't know why you're doing a Joker movie.
Fair point.
Be your own original mentally insane person.
not anything against Joaquin Phoenix. You know, he gave a great performance in the film.
Performer in that. I just didn't like the story.
Yeah, I think giving villains like not even anti-heroes like Venom. I like Venom.
Yeah.
You know, but straight
Joker,
up,
because he's supposed to be like a representation of like chaos.
Right. Straight up villains. You know, Disney's been doing this a lot with their villain backstory movies. You know, Maleficent and the other one that slips my mind right now. But giving villains their backstories, Cruella, thank you. Well, it just came out. I should know that.
Yeah.
But why do villains need, and this is something we could spend hours talking about, but why do villains need a fleshed out backstory where it's like maybe they have tragic origins and you know what was their motivation the whole time? Like they're a villain.
I can
We're meant to
that
dislike them.
In one word, all right?
Money.
Dollars.
Yeah. Wow. Both of you came up with
I love the 101 Dalmatians. Oh, Cruella has a backstory? That sounds terrible. Let's go see it.
Or pay $30 for premium access on Disney.
Yeah, you know, it makes money. I don't know why, but it does. It's like, why does The Bachelor have, 15,000 iterations? It's a terrible show. But people watch it.
So
I feel like it's a little bit. I just have to say it's a little bit hypocritical for us to be talking about the many iterations of The Bachelor while talking about the next iteration of Batman that we're gonna go see.
Yeah, but The Bachelor is literally the same every time. It's just a different variation.
I'm just saying.
So I want to bring this episode full circle because we kind of reached a stopping point there on the trailers. Obviously, we're all very excited for them. High risk, high reward in making all of these movies by DC. Yep. I want to come full circle on this episode. We talked about The Last Duel. Ridley Scott directed top 3 Ridley Scott movies. Ben, you go first.
All right. Well, number 1 is an easy one for me. It's my favorite movie of all time, Blade Runner, masterpiece. Greatest sci-fi of all time.
Which cut?
Oh, the director's cut. Well, like the final cut, I guess.
2049.
No. 2049 is like a Blade Runner on rails comparatively. Ridley Scott's, I think, is just fantastic. I mean, that movie is a masterpiece. Other than the voiceover, which was put in because the studio thought the audience was too stupid. So.
Far be it from audiences to be stupid.
Image of The Last Duel's box office.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Go see it, please.
The second one probably going to be Alien for me. I love that movie. I mean, it started so much, and it's a really progressive movie, right? At that time, a lot of women were the ones being hunted down by the serial killer. So it was a nice change where You got a strong female lead from Sigourney Weaver. She's the only one who's, really going to make it out and fight back and win against this thing.
Yeah.
And third, Martian. That's going to be I'm a sci-fi guy. I love the sci-fi.
Well, you got two of my three. I'm going to go next here, Declan. Sorry, pal. Number one, The Martian. I think, I haven't seen too many Ridley Scott movies, and that's a flaw on my part. But hey, I'm working my way through James Bond right now, so maybe I'll get into the Ridley Scott canon. So I'm gonna go The Martian, number one. Number two, I'm gonna say Blade Runner. All-time classic sci-fi movie. Harrison Ford he's not at his Han Solo, Indiana Jones best, but he's still really good. And then number three, The Last Duel.
Wow.
I really liked it, and I think Ridley did a great job with the story. I think he did a good job executing with the talent he had, with the script he had. The production design was exceptional. So yeah, I would go Martian, Blade Runner, Last Duel. Declan? Take us home.
For me, again, have to give caveat, haven't seen all of Ridley Scott's movies. I haven't finished Black Rain, starring a friend of the podcast, Michael Douglas. It's
Michael Douglas,
so
friend
there
of
are
the pod.
holes in my judgment. Second, second, full on. These are favorites, not best, of course. So for number three, I put down Gladiator. It's a fantastic movie, comically inaccurate, but fantastic film all around. Number two, I struggled with. I think this is pure fanboy hype, and this will change soon. I'm putting Last Duel down there just because that feels right. It will change. I don't doubt it, but I have to right now. But number one, I really have to go with, in thinking about it, I has to be The Martian, honestly. The Martian, I felt like in some ways, Last Duel is perfect, but it's also dark. The Martian is sort of perfect, but also very light, and it's
hopeful.
Light's not the right word, but it's uplifting.
It's optimistic.
Yeah. And it's a joy to watch. I love it. It makes it lets me imagine that I'm into science for a brief period of time.
Also, slight NASA propaganda in the movie.
Yeah, that's why I love it. A little bit. But I think it also a little bit of Chinese propaganda as well. Though, throw stones. No. But I think it's everything built for a fantastic. Great characters, amazing setting. Just a great story. I think again, this list will likely change in the future, but I think that's where I'm at. I think The Martian is my favorite Ridley Scott film.
Cool. That's all the time we have for this episode. Our Ridley Scott rankings. Put yours in the comments or hit us up on social media. I'll put that in the description.
Ask us for liking The Last Duel too much.
Yeah, so we'll be back next week. Max will be back with us. We're going to talk No Time to Die. That's me committing to watching the rest of the Daniel Craig era. So we're going to commit a lot of time to it. That's all the time we have, but we'll see you next week.
See ya.